And people could get easily fatigued with numbers and tables every now and then, right? So we have to improve ourselves in this new era by visualizing the data.
It introduces this concept of goal framing, which is essentially about your mindset that guides your behavior.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to the WoPro podcast. We're actually doing this, aren't we? I mean, a podcast.
Yes, we are. Ever done a podcast before?
Not for me, but I'm up to it because we are extraordinary and unconventional. Yes.
Well, I can't disagree with that, really. Then again, this is no different than a Saturday night out, I suppose.
I don't think so, Paul. It can't be that different, right?
I've got 30 years of that, so yeah, we're good. In essence, all we have to do is talk about our problems, right?
Exactly. So to introduce ourselves to our viewers, thank you, by the way. If you are out there viewing us, we are truly flattered. Well, I am Paul, and along with Kamal, we are based in Malaysia, while Rafael is calling in from Japan. We are three working professionals, and we are taking an MBA at the Asia School of Business. So like the title would suggest here, we are going to talk about the shifts in our jobs or even current work, because it has happened to us for real during this COVID season.
Yes, it has. We have three people and three challenges. So what's happening with you, Kamal?
So for me, I still work in the same company, but I've been reassigned into a corporate role. I have to now liaise with the high-ranked internal stakeholders. And prior to this, I was an operations guy, on the ground kind of guy. So this is a new task for me on a whole new level where I have to deal with the senior management, which have more experience than me. Plus, during this pandemic, where meetings are done online and my kids are dancing to the Baby Shark tunes in the background, it doesn't really help. But enough about me. How about you, Paul?
Well, Kamal, my wife and I, we're about to have our first child, and we were in different states. So I changed my job, right, to move there. And it's from the medical device industry to renewable assets. And the job search itself was challenging, and now comes the harder part on how to transition between industries. And this is the new normal. So from the interview until now, I've not seen any of my bosses face to face, right? They're all based in Hong Kong. Our stakeholders might also be a little nervous by a newcomer from a different industry. And I feel that so many eyes are trained on me right now, and there is this pressure to prove myself. So, and not surprisingly, there are already KPIs, right? These were set and negotiated even before I got the job.
I'm actually interested, Paul, in how you could find a job during COVID-19. But yeah, let's take that offline.
Well, enough about me. Don't you have the most challenging problem of us all?
Well, it isn't really a competition, Paul. So I've been in my current role since over 4 years now, but there wasn't a single month going by where at least one of my responsibilities didn't change. So I work for a very special company, I would say. And we try a lot of challenges. And exciting, yes. Challenging, yes, definitely. But getting thrown into the cold water on a regular basis isn't so nice. And this is like by being assigned to new tasks and changing expectations all the time. That's something I struggle with a lot, actually. And COVID-19 has only exaggerated that situation.
Oh yeah, I would expect so.
Right. So I get confused, and disappointed and discouraged, and it's mostly because I can't get things done the way I want to. It's like showing off to your wife how quick you can build that shack because you feel you're good in that, and when you're midway done, she asks you why dinner isn't ready yet. I was like, oh, okay. All right. So we all got problems, and it's nothing unusual, I guess. But the question is, how do we solve them? Do we have solutions for that?
No, I just got my job last week, so not yet.
Not for me as well, Rafael. I could have the solution in 3 months' time during my appraisal with my boss, but definitely it would be better if I can have it now.
Okay. Well, what we do have is a hint from Asia's School of Business. Their smart and sharp framework.
I see that the slide is labeled 01. Now you prepared that. So what's after that?
Well, we don't know yet. So stay tuned, everybody watching. So what this framework is actually soft skills and hard skills. But ASB believes that there is nothing soft or hard about them. And I would agree to that. Because for example, among the smart skills that ASB likes to highlight as a top 10, or as it says to be essential, there are things like emotional maturity. That is how to deal with yourself, your emotions, and that of others.
Yeah, I can recall something that our professor said. The job is easy, the people are not.
Exactly, yeah. And there is followership, for example, the capacity or willingness to follow a leader, or strategic and critical thinking, the process of conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, I think it was synthesizing and evaluating information to reach a goal, and have a plan for execution, actually.
Yeah. All the smart skills and sharp skills are good skills to have as a manager, and also for those who are en route to become a manager.
Agreed. And well, not forgetting sharp skills on the right. So it's a bit of a misnomer to call them hard skills, as ASB claims, because they are not static. They should be honed, right? They should be sharpened. But what's in a name, right? Well, the words we use to describe things should meaningfully reflect what we mean to convey, especially in well-worn corporate speak, like soft and hard skills, right? Like take managerial economics, for example, the application of economic concepts, theories, tools, and methodologies to solve practical problems in a business. You're not going to convince me if you tell me that having managerial economics learned and practiced once 10 years ago still gives you an edge today.
Yep. So these skills are going to need some update. You need to practice them, and you need to feed them with more information and new information regularly. Yeah.
And I can see also some of these smart skills are directly related to my situation right now, about the adaptability and also the followership. It's a key in our change of job today.
So these skills would, I suppose, improve our situations.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to start looking. Yeah.
But how do we go about acquiring that?
Okay, so how about this? Each of us researches on each other's problems, each other's challenges. Then we come back in 1 week and we see what we found out. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but sometimes it takes somebody else, who's not too close to the problem to see certain things.
Yeah, true. I agree with you, Rafael.
Okay, good. I think that's an interesting angle, so let's try that.
Okay, so how about this? Kamal, I think you can think about Paul's new job change, for example. I'll think about the department transition of yours. And Paul, you can take my constant change NATO of a job.
Sounds like I got the hardest task here.
Welcome to my life, Paul.
All right, guys. See you guys in a week.
Okay, later, guys. For those tuning in, don't leave yet. As they say, it is only the end of the beginning. We'll be right back.
Okay, guys. Bye.
Bye. See ya.
2,000 years later.
Well, maybe 1 week was very optimistic of us. Hello, everyone. It's been a while. 3 weeks to be exact.
Oh, well, what can I say? Life happened. The new job and solving your problem was harder than it looked, Rafael.
Yeah, we were lucky that there were no KPIs set on this, or we can kiss away our promotion goodbye.
All right, jokes aside, we have 3 people and 3 challenges. We have the change of departments, a change of responsibilities, and a change of job and industry. I hope this time we have actual solutions prepared. For myself, I'm ready to solve Kamal's problem.
That's confidence.
Well, Rafael, impress me then. Show me the money.
All right. So, Kamal, let's go down to your mental state. I think your challenges can be solved by looking at your blind spots.
Okay.
So let me give you a rundown in three steps. All right. First,
All right.
we need to understand what a blind spot is. Okay. Then we need to learn how to get honest feedback.
Okay.
And finally, we need to think about how to overcome your challenges in blending in with your top management after your internal transition, right? And finally, to improve your career.
Yep. But the third part of it, that's the one that I'm more interested in. Tell me more, Rafael.
Oh, yeah, I'm not surprised. But we got to be patient on this, okay? So let's first start by unpacking our professional lives, where our thoughts and intentions don't always align with our teammates. If you can check out the upper right of the slide, and it's the gap map that I got from the book by Douglas Stone and Sheila Heen. And the book is called Thanks for the Feedback, the Science and Art of Receiving Feedback Well. Your thoughts and intentions sometimes don't correlate with how your teammates view your behavior. And that's how they make their perception of you, what really impacts them. Yeah?
Cool.
Okay, so for example, you can see yourself as passionate, but others may just see you as emotional. On the other side, you might see yourself or think you are being smart about things, and others interpret that as being arrogant. So how you see yourself is not the same as how others see you.
Yeah, this gap map is interesting. So we overcome this by getting feedback, yeah?
Yeah, but let's start with what doesn't help, okay? You can't see yourself more clearly just by looking harder. And that's because when you do take a good hard look, what you see is that you don't have any blind spots and the feedback is still wrong.
So you're saying that we are bad at looking at our own shortcomings?
Yeah, exactly. I've had some painful experiences with that in my multicultural position with different languages. So I recommend getting a second honest opinion and listen to it much more acceptingly. After all, this is to improve your own position, and what good does it do to you if you're just lying to yourself, right?
Yeah, true. I agree to that.
So second is to make all those Zoom and team meeting recordings. Make those count. Record yourself. You can use it as a chance to observe how you actually look and how your voice sounds. This can be pretty enlightening or horrifying to observe your own tone and voice. It's a good way to analyze yourself.
Yeah. So I myself might not like what I see about myself, right? So, but I have to do that, right? But I think it's an easy thing to do. But after that, what's next?
Okay, what comes next is even easier. You just improve on that. So if you see that the first words that come out of your mouth are always negative, you can try to be more positive. If you realize that you are shooting down every new idea, for example, and you can try to be more open to new ideas and give a little bit more time to yourself to actually think about them. And the rest will come much more naturally. It's similar to reading the important email that you're about to send. Usually you check it and you read it from the other, from the receiver's point of view. Yeah. And you just do that with your communication as well. In return, your team members and all the people you're involved with will be much more motivated things will be done much more efficiently. And by the time you know it's not, it's just like that. You have another promotion.
So it's basically listening and pondering on the feedback. And listening is one of the smart skills in the ASB framework, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So you have to focus completely on the feedback and understand it. And then you can respond. There's this famous saying by the Dalai Lama. It goes, when you talk, you are repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new.
Yeah, the quote is very interesting, Rafael. And I think listening also is a part of you being empathetic to your teammates, right? By having an effort to listen to them.
Right. And oh my, there's another cool quote I found online. Sorry. The biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand. We listen to reply.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, it would help if we were not so awfully defensive, right? So I also see that you also highlighted data visualization. What's that?
Okay. So I assume you are attached to your laptop screen all day, working from home.
Yeah, definitely.
And you still have to present to your boss, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Usually what I will do is I'll just screen share the Excel spreadsheet and reports to them directly like that.
Right. I see Paul was being in the same position, so you can listen too. Okay, so this is where data visualization comes in. Instead of presenting it to your boss in numbers, you can make it visual to get better traction. Mm-hmm. Many studies show that we process visuals about 60,000 times faster than text, and we remember 65% of the visuals much better. So this way, this was a good way to, send the message across that you want to give to your boss, for example. That's all I've got for your situation, Kamal, but basically that's it.
Yeah, thanks, Rafael. Appreciate it. So that's why I can see whenever people presenting, I can capture the visual better than the slides and better than the numbers because of the 60,000 processing power that we have. And people could get easily fatigued with numbers and tables every now and then, right? So we have to improve ourselves in this new era by visualizing the data.
Yeah.
Apart from the data visualization and listening skills, I think our mindset has also got to be tuned towards the new normal, right? So maybe Paul, you can tell me more about what mindsets are?
On that note, right, actually what I would propose in solving Rafael's problems, right? So yeah, it's all about mindsets.
Okay,
yeah.
You've got my attention.
So you have one job, Rafael, and at any moment you could be managing engineering projects or you could be doing due diligence, and then tomorrow you could be doing marketing. So basically any direction the company wants to experiment going in, like what you say, it's a change needle for you, right?
That's right. Mm-hmm. So try picturing me trying to explain my job to someone.
Yeah, that's really quite difficult because unlike the both of us, it's going to be a never-ending cycle for you. So I think I found something that could give you a better way of coping. In terms of ASB smart skills, I'm pointing my finger at adaptability and managing up, of course. That was obvious. But how do you think you are doing in these two departments?
So I'd say I'm doing pretty bad at those. I always thought I was flexible or an adaptable person. But years of actually having to be flexible taught me actually I'm not. And if I were good at managing up, I think I wouldn't have had the issues that I face right now.
Right. But it's not easy for most people, but that's not good advice. So what I found is based on this 2007 article, right, in the Journal of Social Issues by Lindenberg and Stagg. So the title is a mouthful. It reads as normative, gain, and hedonic goal frames guiding environmental behavior. But what it means is it introduces this concept of goal framing, which is essentially about your mindset that guides your behavior.
Okay, this turn counseling in no time.
Well, it does look like you need it, Rafael.
I was actually aiming for therapy. But bear with me here for a second, right? Well,
Yeah.
you know the personal development S-curve? Well, here it is in the slide.
Right, yes, I know that one.
So usually we gain confidence as our skills develop when taking on a project for an amount of time. But in your case, you can be pulled in a new direction within a week. So that confidence level is abruptly restarted. So you go through this cycle of building confidence over and over again, like in one of those Groundhog Day movies, where you wake up to the same music tunes, you work towards some goal, and poof, you wake up again yesterday, right? So this is essentially this vicious cycle that you're in.
That movie's awesome. Yeah, and that observation is quite accurate.
Yeah, I agree. It sounds brutal, but it makes a lot of sense to me.
It is really brutal and tiring to build up confidence halfway and then get ferried off to another project and have to start again. So you mentioned that this causes confusion and discouragement, and this might have influenced your goal frame, right? The research we brought up earlier. It draws your focus away from collective goals of your team or your company. So people tend to default back to two individualistic mindsets, or in academic language, they call it, the gain goal frames. So one is focused on improving their current self, and the other on gains for the future. So if you want to eat something when you're hungry, that's improving your current self. When you compliment your boss in order to get a promotion, that's you trying to gain something in the future, right?
Okay. Now, but you're kind of saying that I'm not focusing on the goals of my company, right? It's a bit harsh.
Yeah, but no judgment there, Rafael. I think what Paul means is that when you're facing a lot of stress, it's very hard for us to think straight, let alone focus on the group's goals.
Indeed. I'm not saying that you're not doing that, but the moment when your responsibilities change and you're left with a job unfinished and buried under a new unknown task, most people would fall back to looking on how to improve their own situation first, right? And there might be a lack of mental space to look at collective goals. Lack of mental space to basically be some altruistic saint when you're in survival mode. It's totally understandable.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So I wanted to ask how can I look out for the group? I mean, I see you got that down in the slides in the form of inwards and outwards questioning.
Yeah. Yes, the simplest way that will work even when you have stress and confusion is actually to question yourself. Okay. Yeah, I know that that came off wrong, but it's not in the way what Kamal is thinking right now that results from self-doubt. So an inward question to yourself would be something like, am I doing this for me or for my company? And then, was the old task scrubbed because of me or because priorities have changed? And usually the answers are fairly easy. It's actually not because of you. It's because of the company, right? Strategic directional change or anything else. But this at least creates a repetitive internal reinforcement for you to not take these situations personally.
Yeah, you're right, Paul. I tend to ignore these important things over my frustration mostly.
Once you're clear on that you're not being judged based on your incomplete performance and should focus on what the company needs, you can then go all out and ask the outward questions, which are just questions directed to the new task or responsibility. They are questions like, why is this important for the company? Are there any things I should be aware of? And how will I contribute to the goal with this?
Right, right. It's kind of scary to ask these questions, though.
Yeah, it seems to me like it is a question of competence.
Exactly, Kamal, which is also proof that we might be looking at our future gain, or we even just want to avoid embarrassment, but that fear is unnecessary.
Right.
So I'm quite confident, Rafael, that in your case, you'll be judged by your curiosity. So let me just share something. So 2 weeks into my new job, I had to make a strategy presentation to the CEO and directors. And for sure, it wasn't perfect. I mean, how much could I have learned about the business within 2 weeks? So I did get some flack, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I do admit that after that, I was quite fearful on how I was perceived. Was I perceived as naive even? But surprisingly, it ended up in lots of other projects being passed on to me. So I was judged rather, on curiosity, not imperfection. And I actually learned a lot from the flag that I got, right, on company's actual direction and the nuances that came along with it. So I feel that by taking a lot of initiative to ask these important questions and being willing to even get into a scuffle over it, you will gain such a high level view on the collective goals, which you might even be able to apply for future changes.
Yeah, Paul, I was wondering because I had a similar experience with you, but on a lower level where I presented to my vice president and I only had 15 minutes to prepare. But luckily I put the company's goal as the main focus and I got his attention. But I was hoping for promotion or raise, but beggars can be choosers, right? But I got the relocation to Mexico in 2018 and handling a very fast project over there. It's a good experience for me.
Oh, nice. Well, 15 minutes and there you are, whisk off to Mexico, huh?
Yeah, imagine what 30 minutes can do. Yeah, more time.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Paul. Kamal. I think that might work. Yeah. So ask myself the important questions and ask others the important questions. And by that, I get the high-level view on goals and focus the interest and efforts towards that. Got it.
Great. And before I forget, the high-level view here is actually managerial economics, one of ASB sharp skills, right? And the sharper you have those, the more they will help you in recognizing collective goals earlier.
Oh, that's good. So I guess I have a lot of work to do, but yeah, it seems worth it.
Okay, so we are in the last 100 meters of the podcast. Time to buckle up because I think Kamal's got something spicy coming up.
I got my buckles off.
All right. So we talk about blind spots by Rafael, and also we talk about mindsets by Paul. So now we are going to talk about but the main problem is doing anything new. But then again, you need to be perceptive enough to sense those blind spots. So you must have a certain mindset when doing something new. But how do you establish yourself a new job?
Yeah, that's the question.
So I'm going to talk to you about how to get to the quick win. So how quick you say? Probably I say about 6 months after you start the new job, as it is a normal 6-month probation for companies in this region. First off, you need to focus on the projects with a probability of 70% success and try not to do too much, but focus on just those projects.
It's kind of like you're going for a lower hanging fruit, right?
Actually, Rafael, is on the contrary. The term lower hanging fruit is rather vague and implies that you are trying to take shortcuts to get those wins.
Okay.
As an example, you try to cut costs for the company, reducing your cost by selling off its costly research arm.
Oh.
You can save money, but that only works for the short term, and you might doom the company's innovation and therefore their competitive advantage for the long term.
Yeah, that's a no-no.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And if you guys recall, before we had the pandemic, we had our business practicum with Volvo Malaysia, right? We only have 5 days to prepare, but all the quick wins that we presented are the long-term collective quick wins. So the ideas are to present with them with the long-term sustainable quick wins.
Okay, so what are you suggesting?
Okay, so I'm suggesting that quick wins must be just a step on the long ladder of the long-term growth of the company. You can see a very nice picture of the ladder there. So if you try and just grab any low-hanging fruit you can, you will fire up full of promises, like one of the SpaceX rockets, and nosedive even quicker.
That's low, Kamal.
Yes,
I'm a fan of SpaceX, okay? But yeah, I agree. So I see here on the slide, yeah, you have also got some smart and sharp skills up already. And so my first observation is that you have followership here. So now in this world we live in, right? It's all about being a leader, and you have tons of leadership seminars to go to, and which are now webinars, of course. It's almost as popular as digital transformation right now, right? So, but you're looking at followership.
Yeah, I think it is indeed. But followership is unfashionably underrated because people think it's not really that important. But the lack of it in leaders, no less, is probably why people feel.
Okay. Why do you say that? It's actually one of my most practiced skills.
Yeah. So basically, this actually comes from research and data. So there was this Harvard study of 5,000 senior execs, and those who focus just on themselves without empowering the people and their team adopted practices like micromanagement and dictatorship. And you know what? They fail. But those who recognize the team and trust their team members to lead in certain areas of expertise succeeded so much more. Both though tried to achieve quick wins at the beginning.
Nice. Okay, I would say that's quite insightful. I like how you supplemented quick wins with quick wins are achieved with teams, not without them. That's really something, right? And that's something new. So, and I see that you also have culture here by Church and Conger in the Harvard Business Review, no less. This is a very heavy topic, and you've done your homework. So it's corporate culture, I presume.
Yeah, if you want me to talk about this, I need another hour or so. But in a nutshell, the culture is like the oil of getting things done by removing the static friction. It's more engineering terminology. So here, yes, three lenses on a new company or department. So the three lenses are relationship, communication, and decisions. The cons of not getting the culture right is your relationship with your teammates or your boss will sour. You can't communicate in a common language that's acceptable to them, and you have no idea why the board or the management are making some decision as they do, and you have no power in influencing such decision. Based on these cons, then you can imagine how hard is it for you to get anything done in your new department or new company.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. That really makes sense for me, right? And you know what? I did try to understand the culture of this new company. So the first thing I did was to get a history lesson from everyone over coffee or lunch on how they viewed the company. Yeah. And actually I was able to glean some of the unspoken rules and how people got things done around here.
Yeah, that's usually good, Paul. It's more like an art instead of a science, right? It's a very effective way for you to try and start to understand culture by listening to them, the people on the ground. Listening on one hand is a smart skill on its own. It's also a key part of followership. I would say you are on the right track, Paul. All right, let's get to the sharp side of things, analytical reasoning. The prelude to this is that you are going to be bombarded with all sorts of new information in this new role. So you got to process them fast.
Okay. You say it's important for the new normal. Why?
Yeah, true. Yeah, because now we are moving fast in the new normal kind of time pace. So my first point about using the analytical reasoning is to understand what the company thinks that is a success or a win. So you can't just be going for a quick win in an area that is not important or less crucial for that company. So you need to deep dive, put on your thinking hat, and identify what is important for the company and rank them. And also you need to identify what's important for your boss as well. Then you need to negotiate what success is. In this era, we barely meet our direct supervisors face to face, so you have less face time with them. But you need to use as much data as you can over virtual meetings. Yeah, there are less body language cues, and in fact, less empathy over con calls because you are not physically seeing them, which is well-known pain faced by digital teams even before the coronavirus. So in a nutshell, bosses will need more data to be willing to listen, and data needs to be presented well in visuals as one of the ASB smart sharp skills. And Rafael did mention that we can process visuals 60,000 times faster than text, right?
I just
Am
mentioned
right?
that.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, I got to say, I actually have not met my supervisors ever since I've been hired. So that is the new normal for you. And on your first point, I totally agree that embarking on projects that are not meaningful to the company is in vain, right? And we must negotiate the definition of the win. That's what you mean. And in my situation, KPIs were set even before entering the company. And I know this is very common for senior positions, but try as we might, I can try to do my research on the new industry and the new company, right? But I would never know whether it's realistic. Those KPIs are realistic until I actually am inside the company.
Yeah.
So that's, you only start to get the real idea then.
Yep. I'm great. Great. I'm glad that this applies to your reality, Paul.
It does, and very practical advice. So thanks, Kamal.
You're welcome, but it's not going to be free for you. So my only charge will be a 3-piece KFC combo set sent to my house. You can use Grab for during this era.
Very funny, but I'm quite concerned about the new normal and your sedentary lifestyle because of it. So I would say hold off on those carbs, right?
All right.
Okay, stop it. Since no one can order something for me all the way here in Japan, it's not fair, and there's no deal. Okay. So
Okay.
let's take this offline and do a little summary over of the 3 ways to tackle the changes in roles and responsibilities and I guess expectations. And
right.
Let's sum this up for our viewers and come back later.
Okay.
All right.
All right. And we're back. Okay.
All right. So here's what we got for our viewers. What we are seeing with COVID-19 is a shift from business as usual. All the 3 of us are affected by that and started out with problems related to changes in superiors, roles, or responsibilities. And neither of us was able to cope well with those changes.
Yeah. But lucky for us, we had ASB Smart and Sharp framework. From there, we found effective solutions to each other problem that resonated well with us. We tackled challenges like blending in after role transition with identifying your own blind spots.
Yep.
And then we escaped the negative impacts of frequently changing responsibilities and expectation by adopting a learning mindset with a focus on collective goals, as my teammate said. And finally, we rocket start through the usually slow and unproductive transition period to a new job by aiming at quick but collective wins. Did I miss something out?
No, you didn't. Well done. Thank you both. And of course, these are the smart and sharp skills we need to acquire in the next slide. So the smart skills include listening, adaptability, managing up, and followership, all which are crucial to gleaning information in the new context, and of course, navigating early decision making. And sharp skills include data visualization, managerial economics, and analytical reasoning that help with early insights. So thank you all for joining this sharing session among us 3. We hope that it provided some depth and that it had some practical takeaways.
Yeah. And finally, to wrap this up, take your time to read the code there. And to manage the shift in roles, responsibilities, and expectation, become like water, my friend. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.